The transport ship slowed as it approached the massive structure floating in space, pressed his face against the window, eyes wide with wonder. Station Nexus was bigger than anything he had ever seen. It looked like a giant wheel made of metal and glass, spinning slowly against the darkness of space. Lights blinked along its surface like stars. "Stop acting like a child," Hay said from the seat next to him, but she was smiling. She looked out the window too. "Though I have to admit it's impressive." Grinned at his childhood friend. "We're the first humans to work here, Hay. Let me be excited." The ship docked with a soft thump, grabbed his bag and followed the other members of Earth's delegation through the airlock. The moment he stepped onto the station, everything felt different. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet he couldn't name. The gravity was lighter than Earth's. He felt like he could jump higher with each step. Captain led the group through wide corridors. Aliens walked past them in every direction. Saw creatures with scales, creatures with fur, creatures that looked like walking crystals. Some had 4 legs, some had 6. One creature floated past without any legs at all. His heart raced with excitement. "Stay together," Captain called back to them. "Don't touch anything you don't understand." They passed signs in dozens of languages. Most couldn't read, but some had pictures. Red triangles with symbols that clearly meant danger. Yellow diamonds with warning marks. Notice that aliens gave certain doors a wide space as they walked by. A tall, thin creature with insect-like features approached them. Its skin was dark green and shiny. Multiple eyes blinked at them from its narrow face. It wore what looked like an official uniform. "Welcome to Station Nexus," the creature said through a translator device on its chest. The voice sounded mechanical but polite. "I am Station Safety Officer. I will show you to your quarters and explain our protocols." Walked stiffly, like every movement was planned. It stopped at intersections and checked both ways, even when no one was coming. Found it amusing, but Hay elbowed him when he started to smile. "This station serves 247 species," explained. "Each species has different needs, different dangers. You must learn what is safe for you and what is not." They entered a large room filled with equipment. Tanks lined the walls, each marked with different colored labels, pointed to a massive red tank in the corner. "This is the caustic storage bay," said. Its voice became very serious. "Here we keep materials that are dangerous to most life forms. The red tank contains acid. It is extremely corrosive. It can dissolve steel in seconds. It can melt through shells like they are made of paper." Stepped closer to look at the tank. Quickly moved between him and the tank. "You must never approach this tank without full protective gear," said, all of its eyes focused on. "Never touch, never open, never breathe near it when it is being moved. Do you understand?" "We understand," Captain said firmly. She looked at with a warning expression. Nodded. "Got it. Don't touch the scary acid." Didn't seem satisfied with his casual tone, but it continued the tour. They saw the living quarters, the dining halls, the recreational areas. Everything was built for many different types of bodies. Some doors were tiny. Some were enormous. Some rooms had water instead of air. Others were filled with thick gas. Later that day, and Hay sat in the human section of the dining hall. A reptilian creature approached their table. Its scales were blue and silver, and it had bright yellow eyes. "May I sit?" the creature asked. "Of course," Hay said. The creature sat down carefully. "I am Taylise. I run a trading company here. I wanted to meet the humans. You are famous already." "Famous?" asked. "We just got here." Taylise made a sound like laughter. "You are the first humans on this station. Everyone is curious. Earth is far away. Not many species travel so far for first contact." They talked for an hour. Taylise was friendly and asked many questions about Earth. In return, Taylise told them about the station and the different species who lived there. "That acid showed you," Taylise said. "Acid. We use it to break down asteroids for mining. It is one of the most dangerous substances in known space. Last year, a containment unit leaked 3 drops. 3 drops. The repair crew needed full protective suits just to clean it up. It ate through 2 layers of flooring. Whistled, "That's intense. What happens if someone touches it?" Tailai's eyes widened. Touches it? No one would ever touch it. Most species would die instantly. Their flesh would dissolve. Even being near it without protection can cause severe damage. Why do you ask? Just curious, said. Hay kicked him under the table. That night in their shared quarters, Hay confronted. I know that look, she said. You're thinking about doing something stupid. I'm not going to touch the acid tank, if that's what you're worried about, said. Good. I'm just saying they seem really scared of things. Maybe it's not as bad as they think. Hay pointed at him. We are guests here, guests representing all of Earth. Do not do anything that will make humans look bad. When have I ever done anything like that? Hay started counting on her fingers. The time you jumped off the cliff into the water without checking the depth. The time you pet that dog that had clear warning signs. The time you... Okay, interrupted. I get it, I'll be good. But as he lay in his bunk that night, couldn't stop thinking about the red tank, about how scared had been, about how carefully all the aliens moved around the storage bay. He had seen animals on Earth that were considered dangerous. He had worked with chemicals in his engineering training. How bad could this alien acid really be? He fell asleep with the image of that red tank in his mind, not knowing that in a few weeks he would become the most talked-about human in the galaxy. 3 weeks passed quickly on Station Nexus, settled into his work as an engineer. His job was to modify the human living quarters to make them more comfortable. He installed better air filters, adjusted the lighting, and fixed the temperature controls. It was simple work, but he enjoyed it. The area he worked in was close to the caustic storage bay. He saw almost every day. The safety officer always checked on him, making sure he followed all the rules. Found it annoying but also somewhat endearing. Really cared about keeping everyone safe. On this particular day, was working alone. Hay was in the science lab studying alien plant samples. Captain was in meetings with station administrators. The corridor was quiet. Was on his knees working on a wall panel when he heard a sound, a soft hissing noise. He stopped working and listened. There it was again, coming from the storage bay. He stood up and walked toward the sound. The door to the storage bay was open. That was unusual. Always kept it locked. Stepped inside and looked around. Everything seemed normal at first. The big tanks sat in their places, each one labeled and secured. Then saw it. A small tank on the side, not one of the big ones. There was liquid on the floor beneath it. Green liquid pooling on a metal containment plate. The liquid bubbled and hissed. Small wisps of smoke rose from it. Walked closer. He saw the label on the tank. Red background with warning symbols. It was acid. He looked up at the tank. There was a crack in one of the seams. Not a big crack, but enough for drops to leak out slowly. Each drop that fell made the pool on the containment plate a little bigger. Looked for the alarm system. The lights on the panel were off. The sensors weren't working. There should have been sirens blaring, but everything was quiet. A malfunction. The system didn't know there was a leak. He should call someone, he knew that. He should back away and contact immediately. That was the right thing to do. But stood there looking at the green liquid. It bubbled on the metal plate, eating small holes in the surface. But it was eating slowly. Not the instant destruction Tailai's had described. Not the terrifying death had warned about. Thought about everything he had seen in 3 weeks. The aliens were so careful about everything. They wore protective gear for tasks that seemed simple. They treated minor risks like major disasters. Maybe they were just fragile. Maybe Earth had made humans tougher. His hand moved before his brain could stop it. He extended his index finger toward the pool of acid. His heart beat faster. This was stupid. This was incredibly stupid. Hay would kill him if she knew. But he had to know. His finger touched the surface of the liquid. He felt a slight tingle, a warmth like touching water that was a bit too hot but not burning. That was it. Nothing dissolved, nothing melted. Frowned, he pushed his finger into the liquid, letting it sink up to his first knuckle. The tingling increased. The warmth spread, but there was no pain, no damage. He counted to 5 in his head, then pulled his finger out. His finger was pink like it had been in hot water for too long. The skin looked slightly irritated, but it was whole, complete, not dissolved, not even bleeding. Huh said out loud, "That's it." He stared at his finger in confusion. All those warnings, all that fear, and it just felt like warm water with a tingle. The door burst open behind him, rushed in, and the sound it made was unlike anything it heard before. A high-pitched screech that hurt his ears. Olaf's eyes went wide with what looked like absolute horror. "You touched the acid," screamed, "with your bare flesh." Alarms suddenly began blaring. Red lights flashed on the walls. Slammed a button on the wall, and a metal barrier started coming down over the door. Wait said, "I'm fine," but wasn't listening. The safety officer was speaking rapidly into a communicator, words tumbling out too fast for the translator to keep up. More alarms joined the first. The entire section went into lockdown. Through the closing barrier, saw figures running toward them. Aliens in massive protective suits that made them look twice their normal size. They moved like they were approaching a bomb about to explode. Grabbed arm, careful not to touch his hand. "Do not move, do not touch anything. Medical team is coming. Stay calm. Death may not be immediate." "I'm not dying," tried to explain. "Look, my finger is." "Stay calm," repeated. Its eyes kept darting to his hand like it expected the finger to fall off at any moment. 6 aliens in suits entered the bay. They surrounded, scanners pointed at him from every direction. One of them, wearing a suit marked with medical symbols, came closest. "Where is the contact point?" the medical officer asked. Held up his finger. "Here, but really I'm okay." The medical officer leaned in with a scanner. It studied the readings, then scanned again, then a third time. "This is impossible," the medical officer said. "What is?" asked another suited figure. "There is no damage, no cellular breakdown, no acid burns, just minor skin irritation consistent with heat exposure." All the aliens went quiet. They looked at each other, then at his finger again. "Scan him again," ordered. "Full spectrum. There must be damage we cannot see." They scanned 17 times. They took images of his finger from every angle. They tested his blood, his skin, his vital signs. Every test came back the same. He was fine, perfectly healthy, not dying. "How is this possible?" asked, but could tell the question wasn't really directed at him. More officials arrived. Station administrators, security officers, even tail eyes showed up, pushing through the crowd to see what happened. "The human touched acid," someone explained to each new arrival. "He touched it with his bare skin, and he is alive." Word spread through the station like fire. By the time they moved to the medical bay, a crowd had gathered in the corridors. Aliens pressed against the walls, trying to see the human who had survived the impossible. In the medical bay, sat on an examination table while 3 different doctors ran more tests. Hay burst through the door, her face a mixture of anger and worry. "What did you do?" she demanded. "I touched some acid," admitted. "In my defense, it barely did anything." Hay put her face in her hands. "You're an idiot, you know that, right?" "Yeah," said, "but I'm an idiot with useful information." Captain arrived next, looking less angry and more tired. She listened to the medical reports with a serious expression. Finally, she turned to. "You've created a diplomatic incident," she said. "The station council wants answers. They want to know how a human survived something that would kill most species instantly." Looked at his finger again. It wasn't even pink anymore, just normal skin. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I just wanted to see what would happen." "Well," Captain said, "now the whole galaxy wants to see what happens next." The council chamber was the largest room had ever been in. It was circular, with seats rising up in rows like an ancient amphitheater. Representatives from dozens of species sat in those seats, all staring down at him. Stood in the center with Captain on one side and Doctor, the human medical officer, on the other. Stood at a podium, presenting the incident report. The safety officer's voice was steady, but could see the tension in its posture. The human designated made direct skin contact with acid for approximately 5 seconds, said. He showed no protective equipment. No safety protocols were followed. By all known science, he should have suffered catastrophic tissue damage. Instead, he experienced only minor irritation. A murmur ran through the council. Some aliens leaned forward in their seats. Others leaned back, as if distance would protect them from this strange information. A large alien with purple skin and multiple arms stood up. "This is impossible. Acid has a pH level of 1.2. It dissolves organic matter on contact. We have centuries of data." Doctor stepped forward. "May I speak?" The council leader, a floating creature that looked like a jellyfish made of light, gestured for her to continue. "Human skin is different from most species represented here," Doctor explained. "Our skin has a natural pH of about 4.5 to 5.5. It is slightly acidic. This is our first defense against bacteria and environmental threats." "Slightly acidic?" another council member asked. "You mean your skin naturally produces acid?" "Yes," Doctor said. "We also have multiple layers. The outermost layer is made of dead cells filled with a protein called keratin. It is very tough. Underneath, we have living cells, oil glands, and sweat glands. The combination makes human skin remarkably resistant to many chemicals." She pulled up a holographic display showing cross-sections of human skin. The aliens leaned in to study it. "But acid is not a mild substance," the purple alien protested. "It is one of the strongest acids in known space." "Strong, yes," Hay interjected, stepping forward. "But humans evolved on a planet with many dangerous chemicals. Our stomach acid, for example, has a pH of 1.5 to 3.5. That is stronger than acid." The council chamber went silent. Could see aliens looking at each other with what he interpreted as shock. "You produce acid inside your bodies that is stronger than," someone asked. "We need it to digest food," Doctor said. "Our diet on Earth includes many things that would be toxic to other species. We evolved strong defenses." The jellyfish-like council leader drifted lower. "This is concerning information. If humans can withstand such substances, what else can they survive?" "We are not trying to be threatening," Captain said firmly. "We are simply different. Our planet made us this way." Spoke up. "I request permission to conduct controlled testing. With the humans' consent, we need to understand the extent of this resistance." Raised his hand. "I'll do it." "Absolutely not," Captain said. "Captain, with respect, they need to know," argued. "If humans can safely handle materials that are dangerous to other species, that is important information. It could even be helpful." Captain looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "Fine, but controlled conditions only, medical supervision, and if I see any actual danger, we stop immediately." The council agreed. They set up a testing chamber in the medical bay, sat in the center while doctors and scientists watched from behind protective glass. Cameras recorded everything. They started with small exposures, a drop of acid on his forearm. It tingled and left his skin pink for a few minutes, then faded. No damage. They increased the amount. A small puddle that placed his hand in for 10 seconds. His palm was red and slightly irritated afterward, but the irritation disappeared within an hour. The aliens watching took notes frantically. Some looked excited, others looked worried. "Final test," Doctor said. "Full hand submersion for 30 seconds." Nodded, they brought out a container filled with acid. The green liquid bubbled gently. Took a deep breath and plunged his hand in up to his wrist. He felt the now familiar tingle, the warmth. It was uncomfortable but not painful, like holding his hand in hot water. He counted slowly to 30, then pulled his hand out. His hand was bright red. The skin looked angry and irritated. Doctor scanned it immediately, comparing the readings to baseline measurements. "Minor inflammation," she reported. "No cellular death, no permanent damage. The irritation should fade within 2 to 3 hours." One alien scientist pressed against the glass, all 6 of its eyes wide. "This changes everything." The news spread through the station faster than before. By the next day, everyone knew that humans could handle acid. By the day after that, word had spread beyond the station to nearby systems. Tail Eyes visited in the human quarters. The reptilian trader looked excited. "My friend," Tail Eyes said, "do you understand what this means? There are jobs in the galaxy that no one can do because they are too dangerous. Materials we cannot process because they will harm any worker who gets near them. If humans can do these jobs, you will be very valuable." "That doesn't sound ominous at all," Hay muttered from her corner of the room. But Tail Eyes was right. Within a week, offers started coming in. Mining companies wanted human workers for asteroid processing. Manufacturing facilities needed humans to handle corrosive materials. Research labs wanted to study other human resistances. Earth's government was thrilled. The economic opportunities were enormous. Captain spent her days in negotiations, working out contracts and safety standards. Became something of a celebrity. Aliens stopped him in the corridors asking questions. Some wanted to touch his hand, amazed that it looked so normal after what it had endured. Others kept their distance, viewing him with cautious respect. "How does it feel to be famous?" Hay asked one evening. Looked at his hand, which showed no signs of the tests it had. "Weird," he admitted. "I just touched some acid because I was curious. Now people are calling Earth a death world and humans the forged ones. It is a bit much." "It is accurate though," Hay said. She was reviewing data on her tablet. "I have been comparing Earth to other habitable planets in the database. Our planet is unusually harsh. Most species evolved on worlds with stable climates, few predators, and gentle conditions. Earth had ice ages, volcanoes, mass extinctions, extreme temperature variations. We survived all of it. So we are tough because we had to be," said. "Exactly." Was quiet for a moment. "Do you think that will make them afraid of us?" Hay looked up from her tablet. "Some of them, maybe, but most seem more curious than afraid. They want to understand us." Still, noticed changes on the station. Some aliens avoided areas where humans worked. Conversations would stop when he entered a room. Whispers followed him through the corridors. Not everyone was happy about humanity's newfound status, and was about to learn just how unhappy some could be. 2 months had passed since the acid incident. Station Nexus looked different to now. Human workers moved through sections that used to be restricted. They wore light protective gear, more for the comfort of other species than their own safety. The yellow hazard signs that once made aliens nervous barely registered to humans anymore. Supervised a team of 5 human workers in the Hazardous Materials Processing Center. They handled substances that required other species to wear full containment suits. The humans wore gloves and safety glasses, following protocols designed to make others feel comfortable rather than out of necessity. "This is weird," said one of the newer workers. She was carefully pouring a bright blue corrosive into a containment unit. "Back on Earth, this job would require emergency showers and suits. Here it is just Tuesday." "We are getting paid very well for Tuesday," reminded her. That was true. The contracts humans signed were extremely lucrative. Earth's economy was booming from the income. Families of workers on Station Nexus were living comfortably. The politicians back home called it a new golden age, but felt uneasy sometimes. He watched how aliens looked at the human workers, some with admiration, some with envy, others with something that looked like fear. A mining company called Astral Dynamics hired a human team for an asteroid processing job. Wasn't on that team, but he heard about their discoveries. Humans could tolerate temperature variations better than expected. They could handle G-forces that would injure most species. Certain types of radiation that required expensive shielding for others barely affected human workers. Hayes' research confirmed what many suspected. Earth was harsher than almost any other inhabited planet in the database. The conditions that forged humanity were unusually extreme. "We are basically adapted to survive an apocalypse," Hay explained to one evening. "Ice ages trained us to handle cold. Volcanic periods trained us to handle heat and toxic gases. Predators made us alert and adaptable. Even the sun on Earth produces more radiation than most home stars." "So we are tough," said. "We are survivors," Hay corrected. "There is a difference." The difference became clearer when tensions started rising. Some species felt threatened by human capabilities. A group called the Purity Circle emerged, spreading messages about how humans were too dangerous, too different. They called Earth the Forge World and claimed humans would eventually replace other species in jobs across the galaxy. Their leader was a celestial named. The Celestials were crystalline beings, beautiful and fragile. Owned a processing company that lost several major contracts to human workers. His speeches on the station's public channels became increasingly angry. "They come from a world of death and destruction," said in one broadcast. "They survive what should kill them. What happens when they decide they no longer need the rest of us?" Most aliens dismissed the Purity Circle as extremists, but some listened, noticed more hostile stares. A few aliens refused to work alongside humans. One restaurant put up a sign saying "Celestials only," though they took it down after complaints. Captain called a meeting with all human workers. "I know things are getting tense," she said, "but we must remain professional. Do your jobs well, be respectful. Show them that we are here to help, not to harm." Tried to follow that advice. He greeted aliens in the corridors. He helped when asked. He followed every safety protocol, even the ones designed for species much more fragile than humans. But the Purity Circle wasn't satisfied with speeches. It happened during a normal workday, and two other humans, Minu and were processing materials in a remote facility near the station's outer ring. They had done this job dozens of times. It was routine. Minu noticed it first. "The ventilation system sounds wrong." Listened. The usual hum of the air recyclers was off. There was a different sound now, a hissing he didn't recognize. "Check the monitors," ordered. Ran to the control panel. Her eyes went wide. "Gas leak, Sector 7, that is right next to us." "What kind of gas?" asked. His hands moved quickly over the controls. "Sulfuric compound, concentration increasing rapidly." Alarms should have been blaring. Emergency systems should have activated, but everything was silent except for that hissing. "Someone disabled the safeties," Minu said, his voice tight with fear. Understood immediately. This was deliberate. This was an attack. "Seal the room," he commanded. "Send emergency signal now." But the communication system was down too. They were cut off. The gas reached their room, smelled at first sharp and acidic. It burned his nose and throat, but not like it should have, not like it would burn most species. "It hurts," said, coughing, "but I am not dying." "Neither am I," Minu confirmed. He was breathing hard, eyes watering but standing. His mind raced. This gas should have killed them. Whoever planned this attack expected it to kill them. The fact that they were alive meant the attackers didn't fully understand human biology. "We need to get out," said. "Manual override on the door, help me." The three of them worked together, using emergency tools to open the sealed door. The gas was thicker now, visible as a yellow-green fog. It hurt to breathe. Their eyes streamed with tears, but they were alive and moving. They stumbled into the corridor. Emergency responders met them there, aliens in full protective suits. "You should be dead," one of them said through the suit speaker. "We get that a lot," managed to say before coughing. In the medical bay, doctor examined all three of them. They had chemical burns in their lungs. Their throats were damaged. Their eyes were severely irritated, but they would recover. Any other species would have died within seconds of exposure. Station security arrived with questions. Who had access to that facility? Who could disable the safety systems? Who would want to kill the human workers? The answer came quickly. Surveillance footage showed a member of the Purity Circle entering the maintenance area before the gas leak. When security went to arrest him, they found evidence of the plot, messages between Purity Circle members, plans to remove the human threat. But the plan had backfired spectacularly. Instead of proving humans were vulnerable, it proved they were even more durable than anyone thought. The gas that was used, called by those who handled it, was considered one of the deadliest substances for organic life. Humans survived it. Was arrested along with 6 other Purity Circle leaders. They were charged with attempted murder and terrorism. The trial was set for the following week. Lay in his medical bed, breathing through a tube that helped his damaged lungs. Hay sat beside him, her face angry and scared. "You could have died," she said. "But I didn't," replied, his voice rough and painful. "That is not the point. Someone tried to murder you because you are human, because they fear what you can survive." Was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Do you think they are right to be afraid?" "No," Hay said firmly. "They are afraid of the wrong thing. They should not fear what we can survive. They should fear what we choose to do with that strength, and we choose to help." The news of the attack spread through the station and beyond. Public opinion shifted dramatically against the Purity Circle. Aliens who had been quietly sympathetic to their message now condemned them. The attempted murder had gone too far. But the damage was done. The galaxy now knew that humans were not just tough. They were incredibly tough, tough enough to survive things designed to kill them. And that knowledge changed everything. The trial of and the Purity Circle leaders took place in the same council chamber where had once explained human biology. But the atmosphere was very different now. Guards stood at every entrance. The gallery was full of species from across the station, all wanting to witness justice. Stood in the center, his crystalline body reflecting the lights in rainbow patterns. He looked smaller than remembered from the broadcasts, less threatening, more frightened. The prosecution presented the evidence. Surveillance footage showing Purity Circle members disabling safety systems, messages planning the attack, chemical analyses of the gas, medical reports from the 3 human survivors. When it was turn to speak, his voice was quiet. "I was afraid," he said. "My company lost everything to human workers. They could do in minutes what took my people hours. They needed no protection from materials that would shatter us. I saw my entire species becoming obsolete." "So you tried to kill them," the prosecutor stated. "I tried to prove they were not invincible," said. "I chose because it kills all organic life. Nothing survives it, I thought. I thought if humans died to something, others would not fear being replaced. But I was wrong. They didn't die. They survived. And now I understand. We were never competing with invincible monsters. We were competing with people who come from a harder world than ours." The council leader asked if anyone wished to speak on behalf of the humans. Captain stood, but before she could speak, raised his hand. "May I?" he asked. Captain looked surprised but nodded. Walked to the center, his movements still a bit stiff from his healing lungs. "I am the human who touched the acid," said. "The one who started all of this. I want to say something." The chamber was silent, his crystalline eyes focused on him. "When I touched that acid, I was just curious," continued. "I wanted to know if it was really as dangerous as everyone said. I was not trying to prove humans are better. I was just being human. We are curious. Sometimes stupidly so. We touch things we should not touch. We test limits. That is how we survived our world." He turned to address the entire council. "But surviving is not the same as conquering. Yes, we can handle your acids. Yes, we can work in your dangerous environments. But that does not make us your enemies. It makes us partners who can help with problems you cannot solve safely." Hay stood next. "May I add something?" The council leader gestured for her to continue. "I have studied dozens of species here," Hay said. "Every single one evolved on worlds gentler than Earth. You had stable climates, fewer predators, less extreme conditions. You did not need to become as physically tough as humans. But do you know what you developed instead? Better cooperation, more advanced social structures, faster technological growth. You got to focus on building civilizations while we were still learning to survive ice ages." She walked closer to the council seats. "Humans are not superior. We are just different. We are survivors from a harsh world, but we survived it together with cooperation, compassion, art, and science. We did not become monsters. We became people who help. Let us help you." Doctor stood next. "May I present medical evidence?" She brought up displays showing comparative evolution. Species that evolved on gentle worlds developed different advantages: better eyesight, superior hearing, faster reflexes, advanced mental capabilities. Humans are tough, yes, but we are not the best at everything. We need you just as much as you might need us." Then Tail Eyes stood, surprising everyone. "I wish to speak as a witness." The council leader nodded. "I have worked with humans for months now," Tail Eyes said. "They could ignore our safety protocols. They do not need the protective equipment we require, but they wear it anyway. Do you know why? Because it makes us feel safer. Because they understand that safety protocols are not just about protecting yourself. They are about protecting everyone." Stood next, the safety officer had been quiet throughout the trial. "I was the first to meet the humans," said. "I thought they were reckless, dangerous. I tried to keep them away from hazards, but I was wrong. They are not reckless. They simply have a different scale of danger. What terrifies us barely concerns them, but they respect our fear. They follow our rules. They care about our safety even when their own is not at risk." The testimonies continued. Alien workers who had partnered with humans spoke about their helpfulness. Scientists who had studied with Hay praised her respect for other species. Even some who had initially feared humans admitted that their fears were based on misunderstanding, not reality. Finally, the council deliberated. It took less than an hour. The verdict came back, guilty on all charges, and the other Purity Circle leaders faced serious consequences. Their organization was disbanded. Their message of fear and division was officially condemned. But the council added something unexpected, a formal declaration that read, "Humans are recognized as partners in galactic civilization. Their unique capabilities are assets to be celebrated, not threats to be feared. All species must work together to build understanding." 6 months later, stood in the same corridor where his journey began. He was no longer alone. Behind him stood a group of newly arrived human workers, fresh from Earth, wide-eyed and excited. He led them to the caustic storage bay, just as had led him. The safety officer stood beside now, a partner in orientation rather than just a watchful guard. "This is the caustic storage bay," explained. "Here we keep materials dangerous to most life forms. That red tank contains acid. It can dissolve steel in seconds. It can melt through shells." The new workers leaned in to look. One young woman raised her hand. "Is it true you touched it?" Smiled. "Yes, I did. It was stupid. Learn from my mistake." But you were fine, another worker said. I was lucky, corrected. And the point is not that I survived. The point is that we have a responsibility that comes with our capabilities. Yes, we can handle materials others cannot. But that does not mean we should be careless. We wear protective gear not because we need it, but because everyone else does. We follow protocols not because they protect us, but because they protect everyone. He pointed to the red tank. Safety rules exist to keep everyone safe, not just the most vulnerable, everyone. That is what it means to be part of a community. We are stronger than many species here, but strength is not just about what you can survive. It is about what you choose to do with that strength. Added, humans have taught us that differences are not dangers, they are opportunities. We learn from you, you learn from us. Together we are stronger than apart. The new workers nodded, understanding, saw his younger self in their faces, the curiosity, the excitement, the slight recklessness, but he also saw respect. They would be careful, they would be partners. Later that day, and Hay sat in their favorite spot in the observation deck. Through the window, they could see the vast station, alive with activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side throughout the structure. Do you think it will last? Hay asked. This cooperation. Thought about it? It will have challenges. There will always be people like who fear change. But yes, I think it will last because we all need each other. They need our durability. We need their knowledge. Everybody wins when we work together. Very philosophical for someone who stuck his finger in acid on a dare with himself, Hay teased. Laughed. That stupid decision changed everything, didn't it? It did, Hay agreed. Sometimes the most important moments come from the most foolish actions. They sat in comfortable silence, watching ships come and go. Earth was still far away, but it felt closer now. Not because of distance, but because of connection. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as partners. Looked at his finger, the one that started it all. It looked completely normal now. No scars, no marks, just regular skin. But it had taught the galaxy a lesson about judging by appearances, about understanding differences, about looking past fear to find friendship. In the corridors below, a human worker helped a celestial move a heavy container. In the labs, Hay's research team of mixed species made breakthrough discoveries. In the marketplace, Tail Eyes sold goods to customers from dozens of worlds. And in the caustic storage bay, humans and aliens worked together, each bringing their unique strengths to solve shared problems. The galaxy had learned that humans were tough, but more importantly, they had learned that humans were kind. And that made all the difference. Smiled, watching the stars. His curiosity had opened doors. His foolishness had built bridges. His humanity had shown others that being different was not something to fear. It was something to celebrate.